it's interesting because the name of the symposium is the macroeconomics of the uneven economy. And I think the key word there is uneven. So the Fed is approaching it with that type of scenario, in that they will watch the data points very carefully as the variant unfolds. And I think we'll make policy accordingly. Of course, there's no secret that at some point they will taper. Question is when. And I believe that the market right now feels pretty optimistic that whether they taper, it's not going to happen yet. And if it does, it's going to be slow, and they're not going to be looking at any kind of raise of interest rates. And that's why you're seeing the rally in the market. Also could be a little bit rally in the market because of the $3.5 trillion budget that hasn't passed except through the House and the Democrats, but also the $1 trillion infrastructure package. So I think maybe people are starting to get used to the idea that the variant is here, but it's not going to shut businesses down so much. And the push for vaccines helps a lot, and that the Fed is not going to do anything too crazy. Well, certainly technically, the bounce was not a surprise at all, because the conditions of all the stocks, the major stocks like Pinduoduo and JD and Alibaba, got so crazily oversold to the point where there was basically no relative strength. So just in markets in general, you get your most significant rallies in bear markets. That's not a surprise to see, like what happened with JD yesterday, where it went up like 17 or 18%. And they're holding pretty good today, which I think is a good sign that it's possible that they've bottomed, particularly if you look at FXI, which is the Chinese ETF that I like to look at. That actually almost formed a double bottom. So I would say that it's not so much the words of Gensler yesterday about wanting transparency and shell companies to be reported, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's more about the fact of what's going to happen going forward in domestic policy in China. What's President Xi going to do? How do these companies respond? If there were deals made, or they were getting broken up, or they're going to agree to certain restrictions so that the competition can emerge from smaller companies, then yeah, perhaps they've bottomed. But I don't think we have any solid news that we can sink our teeth into yet. So you got to play it technically for this bounce. And if it starts to roll over, be very frosty and get out quick. There's definitely, I think, would be fear, because we could see what happens when you have a state-run capitalist society and you have somebody that actually can implement policy unilaterally, unlike what we have here in the United States. He could certainly come out and say they haven't done enough, and that could drop the prices. So that's why I say I wouldn't necessarily think that this is the bottom forever and a great opportunity to buy cheap. But I would say for a technical bounce, we could see more with the lack of news. And we know that memory is very short in the market. So the lack of confidence could immediately turn to, wow, this is a great buying opportunity. Regardless, I think you just have to be looking at it more on a shorter term basis than a longer term basis until we know more. 51,000 is resistance, just like 41,000 was. And so we cleared that. And now once we got up to like 46, we kind of consolidated between 44 and 46. We got up close to 51. And now it looks like 47,000 may have held, because it's back over 48, close to 49,000. I'm still very, very bullish in Bitcoin and a few of the other coins. But if we're just looking at Bitcoin, if it gets to 51, I see no reason why we won't see another tranche of whale buying. The whales have been there for sure, and possibly then going back to what we've seen over 60. Ultimately, I think a good goal for this year is 75,000. And again, at this point now, I'd really want to see 44,000 would be my bottom line support level to hold. Well, if we go to Ethereum, the fact that it held 3,000 is good. It got through 3250 and came off a little bit. If it gets back through 3250, I think you have a much tighter risk, because you'd be gone under 3,000. That would be another one to look at. I've actually been watching Dogecoin a little bit here as well. If that gets back through 37 cents, I think that could also have an interesting move up. And I'm always watching Ripple. I have for about a year now. And it managed to get back over $1. Now it has to hold over $1. But I keep my eyes there as well, because you never know when the SEC lawsuit can flip and in which case Ripple and XRP will start to announce plans for going to an IPO.